What is good, my creatives? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something very cool. This is probably going to help out a lot of different people, from barbers to hairstylists to, I don't know, photographers, anybody. We're talking about a Canon T7i Rebel Series camera. First of all, I want to go ahead and shout out my homies over at Aperture Rent. Plug. These guys are the people that I've always rented from way back when I did my first music video shoot in Atlanta for Lil Scrappy. Well, he was actually on the song. It wasn't actually for him. He was featured on the song, but long time ago, long story short, I've been working with these guys, Aperture Rent, this company, for 4 or 5 years maybe. Very cool staff. They're awesome. They're very helpful, and they have good prices, and it's very easy to do. You just get on their website, find the stuff you want, set up an account, and this is not a sponsored video. I'm just shouting them out because I genuinely appreciate them, and I think that you guys could benefit from working with that company. But let's talk about why I think this camera is great for anybody starting off. You need to start off at a good level where you can understand your camera. You don't need to go all out and buy a Red. You don't need to go out and buy a 1DX if you're just starting. Especially people like barbers or hairstylists, or girls that do people's nails, or girls that do facials, or guys that do automobile work. Maybe they detail cars, or obviously my beginner photographer and videographers can start out using this too. Man, I just want to show you guys that it's not all about the biggest, best gear when you're starting out. You need to kind of master the camera. Another reason why I think that this camera in general is a good one, I think Canon is a great starter brand. I think Sony and Panasonic, those are really good brands as well, but I think they're a little bit more tedious when it comes to, you know, settings and menus and colors and all of those things. I think Canon is really good for starter. It's very simple. It's kind of like Apple. I love Apple because it's simple, it's minimal, it's clean, it's simple to use. And I think Canon overall has the best color straight out of camera, so you're not gonna have to do too much editing and color grading and, you know, manipulating to your photos or your video with a Canon. So people that are just starting out and beginning with like using cameras for their brands or their businesses, I think this is a perfect startup. Like, you can master this camera. Let's talk about some of the specs real quick. So it has 1080p, which is full HD, and you can do that in a regular shot, 24 frames per second, and you can get 60 frames per second in 1080p, which is super cool. It's not like the T6i, which does 720p. You don't want a 720p anymore, man. I mean, if that's all you got, obviously use it, make it work. But if you're starting out, you want to get 1080p, man. At least 1080p, because now they got 4K, 5K, 6K, 7K, 8K, 10K. Thanks. Yep. Kill my audio. Thank you. I hope that they're okay though. That was an ambulance. I thought it was a police. Back to what I was saying again. You need 1080p, okay? The T7i has 1080p for 60 frames per second, which you can get slow-mo with, and it has 24 frames per second, which is your standard cinematic, regular, real-time format. You got the touch screen going on. Man, let's pull the camera out. What am I doing? Let's pull this camera out. So from Aperture Rent, they keep you in the bubble wrap. Boom. Here's our camera. Very small, compact, cool. Comes with a charger, cool. Battery's already in the camera. So let's, you know what? I'm gonna put a lens on here. Don't need that. So for these tests, we're gonna be using the 17-40 Canon. So we're gonna take that cap off, drop that, I don't need it. We're gonna take this cap off, drop that, don't need it. We're gonna slide this guy on, take this off. No card in camera. Got a card right here. Let's get that open, flip that. Not that way, this way, boom. Now we're rolling. And I've already set up all the things for this. So, yo, we got an image. Let's go. Are we on manual? And let's roll it. Yo, what up, guys? So now you see me on the Canon T7i. We're gonna talk about this a little bit more. Let's get back to this camera. So, cool thing about this, touch screen. It's touch screen. My camera's not even touch screen, and my camera was $5,000, $6,000. Mine's not even touch screen. That's just because it's an older build, but it's all good. This guy has touch screen. Let's talk about what else this guy has. The T7i also comes with autofocus in your video, so you can do tracking where it'll track your subject's face, like what my camera's actually on right now while I'm doing this is tracking my face when I talk. Awesome feature. Canon has some of the best autofocus in the game. Shout out to Canon. Man, you know what? Canon needs to like support me. Canon, why? Why are we not partnered yet? Unfair. I guess with that being said, you guys know that this isn't sponsored, so I'm just doing this to help you guys. I'm not getting anything from this. Canon's not hooking me up at all, and it's unfortunate, but I'm just giving you guys some good knowledge on this camera. All right, back to it. Another cool feature that this camera has is Movie Digital IS, and IS is in-body stabilization. So it'll crop the picture in a little bit more, but you'll get some in-body stabilization, and it's all right. It's kind of like having warp inside of your camera when you're shooting. So you just had a coffee and your hands are a little shaky and you're trying to film something, you can easily throw the IS on and it'll stabilize your shot a little bit more while you're handheld. Another cool feature that I'm highly jealous of because it's not in my Canon 1DX Mark II is the time-lapse movie. So you can set this guy up on a tripod. Maybe you're getting a sunset and you want to get the sun going down and the clouds moving. You can do that with time-lapse movie. That takes a bunch of pictures at the intervals that you want, and it'll stitch these pictures together into a video where now you have a beautiful time-lapse. It's not just like push and record on your video button, sitting there for 2 hours straight and then pushing it forward. No, time-lapse is made with photo look way better. So I'm super jealous because you got to buy like an external for my camera. The T7i has it built in. You see how lucky people are that are just starting out? It's crazy. Starters and beginners get so much more now. I didn't get all this when I started. Unfortunate. So those are a couple cool features that this camera has, man, and I'm kind of jealous, especially with that time lapse, because I like getting time lapses. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna show you guys the settings to set your camera on if you get this camera. Actually, any Canon camera at that, DSLR wise, I'm gonna show you the settings that I think are the best for you to set your camera onto when you first buy a Canon T7i or a 6D Mark II or a 1DX Mark II. I think all of them kind of have the same settings. So I'm gonna show you guys what I would set my camera settings to straight out of the box. And then after that, I'm gonna take this camera out into the field and I'm gonna get some dope footage. Let's get to it. All right, first things first, we want to go to menu and let's go all the way back to the front. First of all, you want to come here and this is going to be where you find your filming video format. So at the top, we have 59 frames per second, which is 60. So you get your slow-mos with that one. You would film it, conform it back in your program back to 24 and it would make it slow-mo. And with this camera, you want to do full HD 23.9, which would mean 24 frames per second for your regular real-time filming. Digital zoom off. Sound recording, I keep mine on auto because I throw a mic on top of it, so I keep it on auto. And we don't need anything else down here. So let's go to the next one. We actually don't need anything here either. Auto, light, off. 3, picture style. I usually shoot with neutral. If you click info, you can go in and dial in. So with the sharpness, I'll go up 1 from the beginning. With contrast, I come in and I take it from the middle all the way down, just so I have more dynamic range in my shot, and then we're good. So back out with menu and you can set your white balance depending on the scenario or the scene. But let's keep moving forward. Nothing else on that one. You want to make sure that your autofocus is enabled if you're going to use it. If you don't want to use it, you can just cut autofocus off on your lens. Metering, a grid. You can keep a grid on to kind of help you like frame your stuff, but I don't keep one on because that's just because I eyeball my stuff. 5, this is where you can do the time-lapse movie. So that's your photo time-lapse. You don't need to cut that on unless you're actually doing it. And your movie digital IS, you can cut it on enable or enhance. Enable will give you kind of like an in-body stabilized shot, and enhance will give you even more. I'm gonna keep those off right now because I don't need them with what I'm gonna be doing. So everything else is kind of like preference, like format your card, different settings on your power, stuff like that. So for the most part, we're all set up. All right, cool. So now that we're done with that, I'm gonna throw my little mic on here, which is a Rode Video Micro. By the way, all the gear used in this video, from the stuff that I'm filming this with right here, right now, to the stuff that I'm filming with this and the lenses, just everything is gonna be down in the description. So boom, this got a little mic slot right here. Boom, pop that in. Now I got the mic on it. That's Swift. Boom, swivel screen. How could I forget the swivel screen? This camera has a swivel screen, which is amazing for vlogging yourself. If you want to be a vlogger, it has a swivel screen on it. How could I forget that feature? That's such a dope feature. Oh my God. All right, but let's cut this camera on and let me talk to y'all about a little bit more with this camera. Let's get the same settings here that I got. Oh, I can't do 2.8. All right, it's all good. We're gonna go auto ISO. This camera also has a crop on it. So whatever lens that you put on here, it's gonna be that lens times 1.6. The crop factor is 1.6, so that's 1 and a little over a half. So 17 times 1.6 would be around 27. So it's kind of like a 27.5 millimeter at 17 millimeter lens. Let's get to rolling this camera right now. Alright, so let me show y'all some stuff. It's cool for vlogging. And I can see where I'm framing. It's cool. I got the autofocus in the middle box, the box. So whatever I point that box at, it's gonna focus on. So if I look directly down the center of this lens, right to that center of the lens, then I know always, even if I don't even got my screen, take the screen away, it's gonna be in focus because I'm holding it directly straight on what I need it to focus on. So bring my screen back so I can see, because that's just a luxury. All right, cool, let me show you something. The battery charger, it's really small. Look at this little guy, it's so small. The battery's small, the charger's small, convenient. I'll show you my 1DX charger. Show you this big guy. Look how big this charger is. It takes up so much space. But let's be more specific with who I recommend this camera to. I recommend this camera to people that don't have much of a budget. They have around, you know, a couple $100 and they're trying to get a camera to start making cool content with, whether that be somebody with a small business or it be a photographer and a videographer, and they just don't have the budget to get the bigger cameras. By all means, if you have the money to get a bigger, better camera than the T7i, like a 80D, a 6D Mark II, a 1DX, then spend that money and get that camera, because obviously it's gonna be better inside. The quality, the sensor, everything's gonna be a little bit better. But I'm here to tell you that if you don't have enough money, that these cameras still do good work depending on what lens you're using and depending on how you shoot, if you got your settings all set up right. I'll link another video up here so you can go check out the exposure triangle on how you're supposed to have your settings set up. So go check that video out so you can kind of understand how to shoot, the 3 major important settings on shooting your video and photo. But anyway, I want to show you guys that this is a good camera. All right, let me see. Is that good? Does it look good? I think it looks good. So as you can see, good setup, picture profiles on neutral. My settings are all cool. So right now I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 50 just because this camera doesn't handle low light as well as my camera. And I'm shooting with an f4 lens. So when you're stuck at f4, it kind of gets hard, and when the light's a little lower, it's a little lower light in here right now. I got my ISO at 1600, so I'm pushing that high right now. If I had a lower aperture lens, I could drop the aperture and I could bring down that ISO. Matter of fact, let me throw on a 24mm at a 1.4 and show you the crispiness. Now I got on the 24. I got it on tracking. As you can see, I can't get comfortable. Doing the 24, we're at a 1.4 now. Shutter speed still at 50, but I could drop my ISO all the way back to 200. And ISO is your camera's light sensitivity. If you can keep your ISO low as possible, then you're gonna have less grain and more of a crispy image. So having a lens with a 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 aperture can really benefit having a camera like this that doesn't work so well in low light, because you can bring your ISO down lower. It doesn't look that different from my 1DX for people that are just like general public. Let's take this camera out. Let me show you guys something really, really dope. I'm gonna throw this camera on my DJI Ronin S and we're gonna go get some crazy footage. Let's get to it.